Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Yes, that's right, we have a Maximum Series Spider-Man, and this better be the best Spider-Man figure ever released in the history of the universe to justify the $50 price tag. Now, I do want to make something clear. This is not mine, this is my son's, and it has already been opened because the deal I made, he is... without getting too deep into it, he is an excellent student who works very, very hard. So I will buy stuff for him that I would not buy for myself, and this figure falls in that category. But I did tell him, like, hey, you know, go ahead, open it up, do whatever, because I wasn't going to make him wait until I had time to review it. But, you know, I want to do a review of it because this is a significant milestone in action figures. This price point is bonkers for an American mass market action figure. I do not see the value looking at it, but as I go through, look at the parts, mess around with it, we'll try and see if it is at all justifiable that they charge $50 for this figure, and if you should jump on it now or just wait and hope that it goes on clearance, and if it doesn't, just live without this Spider-Man. So the packaging's pretty nice. It's a little larger box than normal. A lot of wasted space. This could have easily, well, okay. This could potentially have been a regular size Marvel Legends box with the web behind this stuff. Cut all of that out because the depth is there. However, for the purposes of perceived value, it needed to be a larger box, have a bigger shelf presence. Although I don't know if this is going to show up in stores or not. I have no idea. But I mean, it looks, you know, it's good packaging. These guys know what they're doing, putting this stuff together. I will say I don't know that these images of the figure on the side are doing it any favors. Like, I appreciate they're not trying to hide the joints. That thing, they went through a phase a few years ago where they were like airbrushing out or Photoshop or whatever. They were like hiding the joints on pictures of the figures, and that was really weird and off-putting to me. I guess they're just trying to get the point across of like, look, we don't have to use comic book pictures or images because this figure can do all of that. So let's open it up and take a look. Oh, he even put the little piece of paper back in here. Yeah, he asked me, he was like, well, do you want me to put it back in the box? And I said, oh, okay, so I was wrong. They did, well, they probably still could have gotten this in a smaller box, but that would have been counterproductive for the perceived value. Anyway, he asked me if I wanted him to put it back in the box, and I, you know, you can. So I really like this backdrop in here. It's got the, you know, I learned the name of this, and I can't remember what it is now. Bullseye something. Not bullseye printing, but it's when part of it is glossy, and the rest is matte. But I mean, this looks fantastic. This is a great backdrop, and I will probably use it for the thumbnail. Looks really cool. Just put the box over here and take a look at what we've got. Interesting how they packaged the hands with some of them, and some of them just taped in. Okay. Well, we'll figure all of this out as we go. Look at this. You'd never even know this was open. Oh, I like the feel of the webbing. The webbing is much, much better than previous webbing that they've done. This is like rubbery. I like that. And I guess that's why I wanted to review this so badly, is because potentially there are a lot of little things like this, like the feel of this webbing, that you just don't see from online images. As I often say, you know, I don't pay a lot of attention to those online images because there's so much potential for the final product to have differences that really aren't apparent from those. All right, and then we've got these. I hope he doesn't want me to pack this back up, because I'm not gonna. All right. So let's get all of the accessories all of the drawer fodder. And look, I understand probably the majority of collectors at this point appreciate a huge loadout of accessories. I do not. It's drawer fodder. They're going to be like maybe 4 of these things are going to be displayed, and the rest are going in a bag in a drawer for me. But that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that's my preference. So the head's going to be pretty important here. Okay, it does have the hinge at the top of the neck, so that's good. Standard ball joint at the base of the neck. Well, you know what? Before we do anything, let's just take a look at the proportions of him. This is, I would say, an adult Spider-Man. His head looks very weird to me. Let's compare the unmasked head. I mean, I guess if you... Well, I'll look at that again in a minute, because I really do want to look at just the overall proportions of the figure. The head just seems weird and smushed to my eye. But everything else, I mean, this is a good body. It's got an ab crunch, well, a lower ab crunch, I guess you'd call it. But everything is so snug that it's not detracting from the figure. I'm not a fan of the ab crunch, but it generally works better at the waist than it does up here for me. So I think they've done a good job with that. And then we've got sort of the new and improved abdominal joint. I need to be sort of careful with this thing because I do not want to buy him another one. So that's your range there. You can have kind of a little matrix. Whoop. You get the point. So that's cool. I like that. I don't know that that's really any more than you could get out of another Marvel Legends figure. It's got toe joints, which I hate. To me, they're just a point of failure. It's not something that can be... Man, the head just looks weird to me. It's not something that can really support a pose. I don't care for ankle joints. Or, I'm sorry, toe joints. Ankle joints are great, obviously. But the challenge, as always, is the design here has to work like this, but then that limits how deep that it can go. And are those toe joints really facilitating him squatting? Like, are they going to hold weight? Are they going to hold this pose? And in this instance, at the moment, yes. So that's what's going on there. But over time, will they retain that stability? That's my concern. Deco looks really good. All of the webbing is nice. It's not sculpted, and I really think it's up to the individual as to whether or not it should be. For me, I like when it's sculpted, but I also recognize that that's probably not really correct. It really shouldn't be sculpted. I don't like that this is visible, but as I often say, I don't know what the answer is there. Although, I mean, look, they've got the webbing all painted in the butterflies. So why not get a little paint on that disc for a $50 figure? That's one of my personal pet peeves about figures. One of the things I hate the most is this, when those discs don't match, or when the pens don't match, which, by the way, penless, obviously. We've got a little paint defect up here. Don't like that. Well, and you can see where the masking, I guess, didn't hit quite right here. It's a production error, but at the same time, it's a $50 figure, so it's getting judged a little more harshly than a $25 figure by me. A lot of people judge $25 figures way too harshly, I think. And sometimes I don't judge $55 figures harshly enough. I'm aware. The blue, I'm kind of just now realizing, has a bit, it looks like it has a little bit of a metallic look to it, which I really like. So, is this better than, I like this because this is like the pulling the webs kind of pose. Let's see if he can stand on that toe. Yeah, right now, well, I want that. Okay. Right now, the toes are working. This is cool. I like this. And this is where I guess this is going to be a lot of fun, is does it have a ton more range than a regular Marvel Legends figure? Not really, but it has a lot of little improvements that make it overall better. $50 better? Because look, let's consider the piece count here. Because piece count is a big factor in toy pricing, as far as how many individual pieces it takes to make a figure. Obviously, those toes, that's 2 extra pieces. But what else do we have, really? That's it. Right? Maybe you could consider the forearms here, which are swappable, which we'll get to in a minute. I don't know, but I'm impressed with the figure. It is a very good Spider-Man figure. For sure. I would like to have it. But for myself, I'm not paying $50 for it. So let's take a look at the accessories, which I will admit really don't factor into my buying decision because I just don't need them. But I don't do toy photography, and I don't play with my toys. So the accessories are just not as much a factor for me. Like every couple of years, I might swap some parts out, and that's kind of it. So here's the webbing. Let's go ahead and just get that pose I was going for. It's not the most exciting Spider-Man pose of all time, but it is pretty dynamic and like not necessarily one you'd always see. And I think one, because of just the structure of the figure. So what do we got? Okay, these default C-grip wrists have up and down, that's pretty nice, hinges. And the webs have these little sort of balls at the end so he can grip them. And these are, I believe, completely newly tooled webs. So that's what I was talking about. Is he is desperately hanging on to, the back of that train, or the rhino trying to get away, or whatever the case may be. Like, that's pretty awesome. And as I said, the webs are very rubbery. The sculpt on them looks great. Definitely the best webs I've seen from Hasbro. We've got a little display stand here. that I will figure out. So what is that for his foot? I'm not sure what we're doing with that. I should have asked my son some questions before I did this review, because I know he's put this thing through the paces. I told him if he wanted to do the review, he could, and he's not interested. So this is a stand that, you know, interacts with the figure some way. Maybe, let's try something. Oh, did I mention the drop-down hips? He's got the drop-down hips. And really the foot's the only place I can see for that to plug in, but the plastic is so soft. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this. All right, tell me in the comments if you know. I'm not sure what good this is. But I'm perfectly willing to accept I might be missing something. All right, so webbing, stand. We've got, I want to take a closer look at the portrait, because I'm not convinced the spider head, the masked head, makes sense with the unmasked head. Like, I guess you could mush the hair down. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. He's just, again, tell me in the comments what you think. Is his head just weird? Is his face too smushy? I do, though, like that. I just feel like his jaw should stick out a little further than it does. I do like that we don't have quite the same gap, though, because sometimes, like, you can see this gap right here under his jaw, which is necessary for posing. I'm fine with it. But sometimes it's too much. Like, the head, like, sticks too far out in the back, and you get this big hole in the back of the head. It just looks weird. So we've got the unmasked portrait that's, you know, it's Peter Parker. Great. Is it new? I don't even know. I think it is, but I have far from all of the Spider-Man figures, so I couldn't tell you. But it looks good. It looks like a good Peter Parker. Maybe his lips are a little too luscious, but, you know, it looks good. And then we've got an alternate Spider-Man head that is barely different. Like, I'm kind of, the eyes are a little different. That's not much of a value add, in my opinion. I'm going to swap those out just to see if there's maybe a difference in the way it sits or something. I mean, they're different, but barely. Yeah, the black around the edges of the eyes is a little thicker on this one, so it looks like his eyes are a little closed. But woof, that is subtle. We'll go ahead and go through the rest of the webbing here. So we've got the sort of capture web that I think we've seen before, but I dig it. It's cool. I like that the webbing also has sort of a metallic look to it, just to make it look interesting and different. It's not just white. So that's pretty neat. Softer plastic. We've got the web projectile, which is a cool thing to have. I like that. And then we've got a couple of hands shooting webs, which I appreciate. I think we might have seen one of these before. And the hinge on these is up, down, as it should be. We've got the Spider Sense, which I am going to just sort of slide it onto the back of the head a little bit. I mean, that looks great. I probably wouldn't display it like this, but it does look like, that's cool, man. Because I grew up with the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, and then the 80s cartoon that was the predecessor to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So, like, the visual of the Spider Sense, you know, I know it's in the comics, but just thinking about it was such a prevalent part of the cartoons. It was every episode, like that was when you knew stuff was about to go down. It doesn't really fit on the Parker head. No, it doesn't. I'm just going to go ahead and say it doesn't. And then the web shield, which also looks really cool. I like it. It's nice and thick, too. Got the little clip on right there. Let's see how it works. Works great. Clips on really nicely. Stays put. Cool. We have multiple interchangeable hands here, which are a big deal. Because really, that's one of the problems with a lot of the Spider-Man figures, is it'll come with like one open hand and one fist, and then two C-grips, or like they don't. Most of their Spider-Man figures don't have enough hands, which is such a weird thing. So we've got the wall crawling hands. We've got the web shooting. Well. Yeah, that's right. Web shooting hands. I was trying to think, wait, is the thumb out like that? But it is. That's correct. And then fists for punching. They'll look great. I guess I'll go ahead and swap some out just to try it. I really like these sort of angled C-grips that they did. I don't know if these are new, but you can see they have just a little bit of an angle to the hand, like even before you move them. They're just different. I like those a lot. So let's give him the wall crawling hands. Just because I'm getting ready to swap these out anyway. I mean, really, testing the hands is barely even necessary because at this point, Hasbro knows what they're doing with swappable hands. Not a big deal. And then finally, the ones that I like the most, but that I would not display on the figure, the web shooter hands with the web shooters exposed. Like, that's awesome. And again, this is where the toy photography is influencing the hobby so much, because that's really who these kinds of things are for. Well, I would assume nobody's putting him on the shelf like this, but that's cool. Now, obviously, the way they've sculpted these web shooters, they are not underneath these forearms, but, you know, whatever. It's fine. It's a cool look. It's something that I don't remember having seen before in a Spider-Man figure, and that should be part of, you know, being a Maximum figure, is having stuff that we just haven't seen before. So that's cool. I dig it. Oh, here, we'll go ahead and put the Parker head on, or unmasked head on. And just to have that look. There we go. Well, he is very happy about not having those gloves on. You don't know how restrictive those spider gloves are. Every minute he can have them off and have that mask off, he is delighted. So there you go. I did not expect to be doing a review, but it just occurred to me like, oh, well, wait a minute. If I'm getting this guy, I'm going to review him. So there he is. Maximum Series Spider-Man. I'll go ahead and tell you, I will not be reviewing the Hulk because neither one of us like the portraits that they chose for that one. So I won't be reviewing that. But there's Spider-Man. Look, it's a great figure. I'm not paying $50 for it. Maybe you want to, and that's cool if you do. And I know my son's glad that he's got it. So I hope I gave you some information that'll help you make a decision. I don't want to influence anybody's decisions. I just want to give you a closer look and give you the information. So that's what all my reviews are about, is just to give you that look at stuff and share some thoughts about it. So there you go. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And until next time, buy what you like, even if it is $50.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.